Week 6 in the books. It's going so fast. I'm excited to talk about it, but I'm not excited to really. I mean, if you played in week 0, which we all know isn't really a thing, I mean, if you're Vanderbilt, you're already halfway through the year right now. But had some great matchups as usual. Had some stuff that went like we thought. Had other stuff that didn't go like we thought. But there were some thrilling finishes. It wasn't just chalk across the board, and it wasn't a lot of blowouts. We want to know what you guys think. Remember, make sure you hit that subscribe button. Make sure you hit that like button. If you're in here hanging out in the chat, and even if you're watching this after, doesn't take a lot to hit that like button, and it helps us out more than you guys know. But I'm going to go ahead and bring in former Michigan quarterback David Cone, my brother, former Western State Colorado wide receiver Blaine Crane. Guys, my kind of word for the weekend, we used Separation Saturday. This was another moving day, but it was kind of an elimination day from a national championship perspective for a couple teams, one including Notre Dame. I'm going to flip this hat around. One including Notre Dame. And David, I want to start with you, just your overall thoughts about how the weekend went down.
It was fantastic. And the Red River shootout specifically is what makes college football awesome. Like just watching that game, watching how it played out, it was truly amazing. And, on the Texas side of thing, I know we're going to get there, but they're not out of it the way some of these other teams you're talking about are. Notre Dame, to me specifically, is out of it. A couple takeaways I wrote down. Look, Georgia and Michigan both rolled. Notre Dame is out, and just hats off to Ron English and the defensive staff at Louisville for putting together an awesome game plan. But they've been a complete disappointment these last few weeks at Notre Dame. Oklahoma is a serious contender, not just for the playoff, but I think they could make some noise in the college football playoff and in the championship. LSU can't stop anyone. We've been talking about that, but it doesn't seem like a problem that can be fixed mid-season, and it's looking more and more like an Alabama-Georgia SEC championship. That's kind of what I took away, and then combined with USC nearly losing last night and whatever Mario Cristobal was doing at the end of the Miami game. I just don't get it.
I can't believe that. I know we're going to get to that. Blaine, what do you think?
I think we find out who's real and who's not. Notre Dame's fake. I think that Louisville's a pretty damn good football team. Look, we knew Braun was going to come in early and do things well, but I didn't think they were going to be this head of schedule on defense. Jayden Daniels, at this point, he's a top 4 quarterback in college football, in my opinion. If you watch every play of that game, the kid's an absolute walking 30-piece at least. Georgia looked like Georgia, and this was the Georgia team I thought I was going to see against Auburn, who came out early, who came out hot, who put it together, who looked like they were on schedule. It's always a good thing when the third quarter comes and a white kid's running back for you, Georgia. A lot of things are going well when that happens. You look around the nation around Michigan rolled. I'm telling you, this Michigan team right now, if you are a betting man, all right,
wagon.
Now it's time to take Michigan to cover. I took them the last 2 weeks. They've been my lock the last 2 weeks. You're seeing the difference between a lot of teams in that conference and Michigan, all right? You saw what Ohio State did to Maryland. Look, Maryland's got NFL receivers. Little Tua does well, but he makes mistakes. You're starting to see the top ones clear out a little bit. Georgia clearing out a little bit. Michigan clearing out a little bit. Oklahoma, we'll get to it, clearing out a little bit, in my opinion. So you still got Oregon and these other teams. So I think a big key to this weekend, you found out who's real week in, week out, who has the foundation to last, to go long in college football.
Yeah, and I'm going to go ahead and hop into the Red River shootout, which ended up living up to its billing. A lot of people had Texas. I picked Texas, but thought this game was going to be close. I had Texas winning 30-27, somewhere around there. Probably the two things that surprised me the most in this game. And a lot of people, and they should, are going to talk about the play calling at the 1-yard line in one of those final drives for Texas where they weren't able to get it in. They had 4 plays from the 1, wanted to turn around and pitch it, kind of got finessed with it instead of just getting up there, running your quarterback sneak. If you're allowed to push the quarterback into the end zone, then push the quarterback into the end zone. If you can't do that 4 times from the 1 and get in there, you don't deserve to lose. But sitting out here, writing a Nicholas Sparks book on the perimeter of the line of scrimmage at the 1-yard line 3 times, and then trying to run the Seahawks play, the NFL pick play that we saw actually not work for the Seahawks in the Super Bowl, that surprised me with Sark. I'm not one of these people who's going to come over and be like, oh, Sark's a bad play caller now. The 2 things that shocked me: 1, Quinn Ewers looked nervous for the first 2.5 quarters of that game.
Hmm.
Like, came out, looked nervous. But you already played at Bama. You've balled out against Bama. You've played in big games. You know what this game's about. You played in it last year. You beat them to sleep last year. How are you coming out nervous in this one? To me, it looked like Dillon Gabriel wanted to go out there and take the game, and he didn't play perfect. He was 23 of 36 or 38 for 285 and a touchdown, didn't turn the ball over. Quinto's 2 picks, he was efficient, 31 of 37. He did have 350 yards, but 2 very, very crucial interceptions. But if it's me, I'm wondering how the hell Quinn Ewers comes out and is nervous. I mean, there were plays where he could barely even get to the check down. He was staring at the rush. I mean, they were watching the game together, and that's what shocked me. But if you're Texas and you're down at the 1-yard line, you've brought in the Savion kid at quarterback, right? Kind of your runner. Why not just line him up under center and push him in the end zone? I don't understand that part of it. But the Quinn Ewers playing nervous, and then Oklahoma out physicaling Texas. Oklahoma felt like the more physical team to me yesterday. And that front seven from Texas and the defense in general, and you got to give credit to Oklahoma. I totally get it. I mean, Dillon Gabriel runs for $113 too.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, you got Farouk, who we talked about, went for 130 on 5 catches. Drake Stoops, little Bob's son, Haru, the great white ninja, out there making big plays late. It just, I was shocked. I was shocked that Texas's defense looked like the Texas defense that we used to make fun of that would cost them every year. And we thought it was different. And hats off to Oklahoma. But, man, it just felt like Oklahoma was more physical.
Well, 3 of the things that we had talked about all week and that I was particularly interested in. One, Oklahoma secondary. Remember, Blaine, I asked you, can they hold up with this, this awesome receiving core that Texas has with A.D. Mitchell and Xavier Worthy? Not only did they hold up, but they were bringing the physicality. And that second interception that Ewers threw down at the goal line, that was forced. That was forced by the OU secondary. 2, the run game for Oklahoma. They were running the ball very effectively, and a lot of that was quarterback designed run with Dillon Gabriel. Q draw, Q power. And there was even one time they went to empty, they checked down at the goal line in the second half, and I said, it's quarterback draw. It is, and that's exactly what it was. And I thought that's what it was going to be on the final play. I thought they were going to call quarterback draw again with Dillon Gabriel down at the end. He kind of gave a little shoulder fake and then threw it in the corner of the end zone for a touchdown.
Was it smash, David? Did they run smash?
It looked like smash, but what it was,
I
and
couldn't
this
see
is
the one
this
route.
is going to be I'm thinking about this for the huddle up this week. It was a version of smash, but what was cool is they motioned to it. So that linebacker didn't have any coverage responsibilities but at the beginning of the formation. Then all of a sudden someone motions to you. Again, it's another example of how these guys are using motion so effectively. And in a split second, now you have responsibility with wide receiver stacked. And then he ended up biting on the whip route like we talked about last week with the Georgia play and left Brock Bowers, except this time it was a corner. But then the third thing was, can OU's front get to Quinn Ewers? I think they had 5 sacks, something like that. All of that combined is more than enough in a rivalry game to keep you in it. But I'll say this right now. Texas, to me, is still very much in the conversation. I understand what you're saying with Quinn Ewers, but I feel like, look, this is a rivalry game. This is why I took Oklahoma in this one. You got beat 49-0 last year. That's all Oklahoma's been hearing. Texas is back. Texas is back. Texas is awesome. Wouldn't be surprised if we see a rematch of this in the conference championship. And you know how hard it is to beat a team twice.
Well, yeah, I mean, you look at Kansas State now. Losing on the road there at Oklahoma State. I would be shocked if this wasn't a rematch in the Big 12 championship. Blaine, it wasn't like Texas couldn't run the ball either. I mean, Jonathan Brooks took off for 130 yards on 22 carries and had a touchdown. Yeah, a lot in the second half. But having said all that, Blaine, having said all that we did, all that led up to that last Oklahoma drive, Texas got a little conservative when on that third down play before they kicked their field goal. But you were up 3 with not a lot of time at the end of the game, and you needed one stop to win, and you couldn't get it. Texas is still in it. They're going to have a chance. I think with the way the Pac-12 is going to cannibalize itself, a one-loss Big 12 champion can still get in, obviously. I know we're going to talk about the ACC. We're going to talk about the SEC and then the Big 10. Your thoughts on number one, Oklahoma. Is this a national championship caliber team? And 2, with Texas, do you still believe?
I will say this. If you watch that game, Oklahoma looked like the better football team.
I mean, they really did, to be honest with you.
One, Quinn, I mean, after that first interception and he got sacked, his eyes were down the first half for most of the first half. There's a couple things that surprised me in this game. Is one, you don't have to run the ball on first down. And a lot of teams are starting to do this, and it's worrisome to me. I get you want to be ahead of the chains, you want to be on time. But if it's not working, all right, you don't have to prove to yourself or the other team that you can run the ball on first down. And Sark's usually the guy who can work backwards a little bit, and we're going to come out and throw it to open up the run. Texas in that first half started off a lot of drives with a 1-yard gain on first down, a 2-yard gain on first down. And now your tendencies just automatically skyrocket, right? I think it hurt Texas a lot losing that guard early. But, Brent Venables in year 2 is already ahead of schedule and already, in my opinion, ahead of Texas. Physicality, they got their ass whooped the whole game, especially in the trenches. And I know late in the second half, Texas started to come along. But, in the first half, me and Jake were talking about this during the game, not a lot of deep shots for Texas. Right?
No.
Not a lot of deep shots at all. Oklahoma was sitting, coming down, and you saw Quinn got nervous throwing these balls because it blew my mind watching Quinn Ewers sitting back in the pocket, going through progressions, 4 seconds, 5 seconds, and nobody's open. Mm-hmm. I refuse to think that nobody's open. So if it's me, and right now, Dillon Gabriel in Oklahoma looked like one of the better top 5 teams in the nation, in my opinion, from a defensive standpoint. This secondary leads college football in interceptions. They're good, all right, but I don't think they're great. I think the reason this game went like it did is because of that front seven for Oklahoma was dialing it up in Brent Venables and what he does. I like Oklahoma. If they play again, it might be worse because you got to remember, if they don't block that punt, right, you scored 23 points against Oklahoma. That's what you did. All right. And this fiery offense we feed from Texas, and then we go watch Bama do that to A&M. So there's a lot of questions on who shows up on a week in and week out basis.
Oh, yeah.
And that's coaching. That's coaching. That's having your guys ready. Oklahoma wanted this game more. A minute, 15 seconds left when you go up. All right. There wasn't a worried Oklahoma player on that sideline.
Well, I think too, though, we got to say Oklahoma, I don't think as much pressure was on Oklahoma as was on Texas. It looked like Oklahoma was playing freer to me. Mm-hmm. It looked like they were playing more, balls to the wall isn't the word, but it just looked like they were playing with nothing to lose. Right. You saw them because, Texas was dominating on special teams. Even when Oklahoma tried to run that reverse that got called back, they blocked the punt, and then Oklahoma missed the field goal, and you had some things happen. You had the big kickoff return from Texas, I believe it was, but it just felt like Oklahoma was just playing more loose than Texas was. Everything felt in that first half just felt hard for Texas, like they were having to just earn every inch that they were getting. And Oklahoma was like, well, we're going to cross them. We're going to bring them. We're going to do all this. I don't know. That's just kind of the instinctual feeling of it. We're going to get to the chat in a second. Make sure you hit that like button. I know it's buzzing in the chat. If you get a second, hit that like button. If you're not subscribed yet, we're going to get to your questions in a second. Want to hit some of these big games first. Guys, I want to move on to another team in Texas, Texas A&M and Alabama. And the funny part is, all week we talked about, listen, I think this game is not going to get into the 30s. I think it's going to be a little bit more low scoring because neither team's going to be able to run the ball very well. Well, neither team was able to run the ball very well. Alabama, Jace McClellan's leading rusher, had 12 rushes for 45 yards. Texas A&M's leading rusher was Le'Veon Moss, had 16 carries for 50 yards, 1 touchdown combined rushing. Jalen Milroe, negative 31 yards rushing. When you add the sack total to it, you can look at alternate rush yards. But guys, the scariest thing I think that any other team saw of another team this weekend was Jalen Milroe beat somebody from the pocket in a big game on the road. Like we've talked about this. Can Jalen Daniels, when it comes down to it, if Alabama has to be one-dimensional and he can't just out-athlete everybody on 3rd and 8 and turn around and run around and go get 8.5, he didn't really scramble for a bunch of drive extending plays, right? He made one bad decision across the middle. He didn't see the safety, the free safety right there. It was a good job baiting him by the free safety. He missed a couple wide open guys, right? But he made some huge plays with his arm and with his mind. But my biggest question, and I went back and watched the game a little bit this morning, Alabama's wide receivers are running wide open. Like wide open. And I'm not just talking about that first touchdown he hit where they had the busted coverage. where it looked like they were playing man free and the nickel just let his guy go, or the down safety did. I need to go back and look at it exactly. And then the safety in the sky had to reverse out and try and go make the play. But the cushion that these Alabama wide receivers were getting, I mean, there were times where they were just could run to the sticks and turn around, and the A&M DB is 10 yards past them. I was shocked that you did. I mean, Jermaine Burton absolutely cooked him.
Mhm.
Absolutely cooked him. He finished with 200 yards, 2 touchdowns on 9 receptions. Right, Isaiah Bond, James's brother, caught 7 passes for 96 yards and a touchdown. But I mean, David, how many tight window throws did Jalen Milroe really have to make when I can sit here and run the comeback? I mean, on first down, it was like stealing. It got to the point where Tommy Reese was like, screw running the ball on first down. We're just going to go get 8 yards on a comeback.
Yeah, not only that, but he was hitting his first read. That was the thing that we had talked about, not only this past week, but the last couple of weeks, except for the touchdown in the corner to Burton on the flood route. That was one that was not his first read on that play, and that was one that he dropped into a window.
That was a great
throw. That was a fantastic throw. That was his best throw. That was the best catch, and that was not the first read. Apart from that, most of the time, even on the Burton stutter route down the sideline, like that's his first read. So again, like when he's in the pocket, as long as he's not having to work through these progressions, obviously he has a very live arm, and that's when he doesn't look like a deer caught in headlight, because he's executing that first read. I'm still surprised. I still don't understand how you have Jalen Milroe, who's going to walk on every field and be the best athlete there, and he has minus 31 rushing yards. I just don't get it. I mean, Jake, I'm starting to really think you're onto something here, where they just don't want to get him hurt through the season or something. But when you look at this is a huge win for Alabama. You go on the road to a Texas A&M team and you beat them with 23 yards rushing. Like if you told me Alabama would have 23 yards rushing in this game, I would have to take Texas A&M. I just would not let they rush the ball any better. They had 67 yards rushing, but the way they were able to get after Max Johnson was exactly the way I thought that it was going to play out for the Alabama defense. Now, gave up some big plays. Ainias Smith on the huge punt return too, like he showed up to play. But I still don't understand the game plan for Alabama and the way that they're using Jalen Milroe. And hey, maybe I don't need to. I mean, they don't care whether or not I understand it. They're just going to keep rolling through. And look, they're in the driver's seat of the SEC West now.
They are now. Blaine, I think a huge difference in this game, and there were some times where A&M got to Jalen Milroe that one time, he got blindsided. They brought more that it looked like A&M could block. So at some point, math is math. You got to be able to get the ball out, and you got to be able to feel that. It was a nice call by DJ Durkin. But it seemed like more times than not, the Alabama offensive line, and it started to look like the Miami game a little bit for A&M, right? You can shut down the run decently. You're knocking them back. There's some plays where you get back there, but regardless of if they bring pressure, if they would run stunts up front, or they were just rushing forward, it felt like they really couldn't get to Jalen Milroe as much as Alabama's front seven, who's really starting to come in their own, were able to get to Max Johnson. I think this came down to a battle of who can pass protect better, and it just felt like sometimes Milroe was sitting back there, clean pocket, clean routes, guys not getting their hands on anybody, and was able to make the play. So, I mean, hats off to Alabama's offensive line and pass pro. Now, run blocking wise, they got their ass kicked, but that's not what the game came down to.
Well, Alabama is starting to look like Alabama, right? Especially,
but are they though? Like not able to run the ball?
Yes.
On defense.
Yeah.
On defense,
on special teams. That's the Bama I know. Blocking field goals, blocking extra points. I mean, look, Ainias Smith is going to get going. The kid's an NFL player. You can only give up so much. But before this game started, all right, leading up to this week, I said you're going to have to throw it with Jalen Milroe. All right, you're going to have to. All right, because if you think Texas A&M is not going to stack and say, you're not going to beat me running the ball, you're not going to get outside the pocket, we're going to spy you, and if you quarterback run, we're going to meet you in the hole, all right? And that's what A&M wanted to do. So immediately I said you needed at least 22 passes in this game. At least 22 passes. He threw it 33 times. There wasn't a guy on the Texas A&M secondary that was covering Big Game Burton, baby. It just wasn't happening. He was the best skilled player on the field, Isaiah Bond. And I will say this about Milroe. Although most of his passes were first read, I saw him checking down to a back a couple times. right? Check it down to a back a couple times, and you can see him grow. Alabama, you're not going to get where you want to go if you don't let this kid build each week, right? If you just throw him out there to run every time, he's not going to be the guy when it matters most that you count on the most, and he's going to come through. So right now, if you're Alabama, things are looking hella good in the West. I know you're looking at LSU. They couldn't stop a kid in a wheelchair crossing the finish line at this point. Jalen Milroe starting to come along. I mean, he looked good. That flood route he threw in the corner, that ball was an absolute
it's one of those things where you can see like a young player is figuring it out because he'll make a throw down the field and you're like, man, that looks good. And then he'll miss a guy wide open.
Joe Milton.
He'll throw it like 8 yards over his head, right? It's like that pitcher. It's like that pitcher that can sit there and you know, has great stuff. He's just got to be able to learn to locate it more and more and more. And typically, it's not when he's throwing the deep ball because he can let that thing fly. It's the intermediate pass game. But at some point, Alabama's going to have to be able to run the ball, right?
100%.
It's like at some point, you've got to be able to line up and run the ball to win the games later that you want to be able to win. I do want to say, you know, Max Johnson, there was a couple times and A&M's offensive line didn't handle it's tough to handle it in general, but what Alabama brought at him. But there was a couple times where Max Johnson, man, you got to get rid of the ball, dog. Like on the safety, you got to feel at least something to roll to your left. I mean, it just felt like his clock was a little bit slow as the game went on, and A&M, the offense just stalled. It just stalled. In the second half, he scored 3 points. You're not going to beat Alabama. And if you score 3 points in the half, Bama beat you 21-3, or excuse me, they beat you 22-3 in the second half after you went to halftime with a 7-point lead. And I don't think A&M really got conservative. I don't think that's what it was. I think what happened with A&M is you got a turnover, right? That big pick, and you gave it right back. That totally flipped the momentum. You had a 7-point lead. You were driving the ball somewhat well in the first half. Didn't get points a couple times, but I think Alabama just turned the faucet off. I mean, A&M didn't pee a drop in the second half when it really mattered.
Only kicked one field goal. I want to say one more thing about the Jalen Milroe style of play. We have a precedent and a sample size there at Alabama when you look at the way that plays were called for Jalen Hurts versus the way they were called for Tua Tagovailoa and Bryce Young. Completely different. And now, even though those guys are on the NFL stage, the Miami Dolphins are running very different offensive schemes than the Philadelphia Eagles, right? Like those schemes are tailored to those guys. And when I look at someone like Dylan Gabriel for Oklahoma, who's able to have 113 yards rushing against the same Texas team that beat Alabama, you don't need that many rushes per game to not only be effective, but to help you open up that pass game, right? A couple quarterback draws, a couple quarterback Q powers, things like that, combined with maybe 4 to 5 scrambles that are just going to happen naturally. When I see Dylan Gabriel, someone who's not as athletic or built the way that Jalen Milroe is, be able to do it against that same Texas team, that's where I start to ask questions like, man, how are we not able to pepper in some of this scheme into what Alabama's already doing to be able to, in my mind, be a serious college football playoff contender?
Yeah.
Well,
all right, let's
now you proved it, though, right? You prove you can throw it. So if there's ever time to pepper in QB run, it's going to be this upcoming week.
Yeah. Well, it's only going to help the run game.
Now
it's only going to help
now
the
you're
run
worried.
game.
Milroe's like one of those guys who can carry it 300 yards, but he can't go up there and make a 4-foot birdie putt.
Yeah.
Right? That's what he did. That's what he is. I'm the same way. But that takes time. But I'm telling you, if you're a defensive coach now, you're worried somewhat of the passing game. You're worried about it. It's a whole other element when you come to this Alabama team. And right now with that defense, they top 3 defense in the nation. Dallas Turner's a problem.
They'll keep them in every game.
Yeah, which Dallas Turner, you can't make that stupid play behind the block field goal. That's
Jake, can I ask you this real quick?
What?
Let me ask you this real quick, Jake. Do you think it's a problem having your brother on the team at a skill position?
You talking about Max Johnson just throwing his brother the whole time?
I think he had the same amount of targets as Anais Smith. That can't happen.
Well, I blame the whole. I was laughing, David. I was laughing so hard yesterday. Blaine said like 2 or 3 times. He's like, "Dude, I really legitimately think he just out here trying to throw to his brother." Talking about.
Well, he had the tight end hide rail route was a beautiful play.
Oh no, that was great. But there's like 3 or 4 other times where it looked like there was somebody open on 3rd down, and he just.
I hope that's not the case.
You know who the pick was to? You know who the pick was to?
Oh, was it?
That's to his brother. He was throwing that to his brother, and Anais Smith was wide open.
Like, maybe it's better if he's the way Illinois, where like one brother's the running back and the other one's the safety, so they're like not on the field at the same time. Like, I don't know, but that was just funny. That was funny. Blaine, you got to tell that story about that girl at some point. But let's get to the chat real quick.
All right, let's go to Yo That's Rough. $2 donation. Appreciate it, brother. He says Eagles over Army. Heard about it. Just 3 Eagle signs. Jake, I know you had a little scratch in this game.
Yeah, Army blew it. You totally blew it. You're down the whole game. You come back, you take the lead. It's 3rd and 2. You'll be able to run the clock out. Quarterback keeps it. On basically it was a speed option. That's what it ended up being. And instead of just diving for it and getting the 3rd and 2, he leans up and throws it. He's past the line of scrimmage forward to the running back that was running with him on the speed option, who goes and scores. That's an illegal forward pass. That's lost a down. You kicked it away, and then Boston College went and scored. But I did have Boston College over 5.5 wins in the regular season. I said it was easy money, so I'm not super pissed about it. But I'm now more worried about China and Russia than I was before yesterday.
Let's go to Coffee Guy Sports with a $2 donation. Apologize to OU fans, Blaine. I will not apologize, and I will not go to Rainbow Land, and you can't make me. Right?
The callers tomorrow. The callers tomorrow for Oklahoma. It's good. Chad.
I don't think
God.
We can't
The
let
whole
him
time.
They
The
probably
whole
won't
time
call.
Oklahoma, like the minute that last touchdown pass was caught, the first thought that came to my head wasn't, well, it's going to be Texas and Oklahoma again in the Big 12 championship. It was like, oh my God, what is Chad going to say tomorrow?
They probably won't call.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, probably won't for
Let's
sure.
go to Troy Jacobs with the $2 donation. Husky Hate Week is upon us, boys.
Yeah, we'll talk about that.
Yes.
Washington. It's going to be a hell of a game. Let's go to Tyler Jarvis with a $10 donation. In the words of the great philosopher Adam Sandler, somebody kill me, please. So what the hell was Mario thinking about not taking the knee?
Oh God.
Can't let them beat us twice. On to UNC. Let's go Canes. You should be fined for this as a coach.
Like there's, and like we always say, how there's like multiple plays that like it's never one play that cost you the game. This is the one instance where this one play cost you the game. Like let's be honest, because you had it in your control. Just knee it out. Just knee it out. If you don't know, Miami was winning. The clock was running. It was 3rd and 10. And instead of just taking a knee, and they could have ran out the clock. Game over. This is why you have the victory formation put in. They run the ball. So I think it was inside zone, maybe. I got to go back and look at it. Running back gets stripped. Georgia Tech gets it. Georgia Tech basically scores as time expires. This is one of the rare cases where that one play, it did cost you the game because it was in your control. And if I'm a Miami fan, I am livid. I am livid. If I'm a player on my, and you can say, hey, Chaney, you can't fumble the ball. And I get that, but don't put him in that position. You can sit here and say, oh, well, it wasn't a fumble. The ref screwed it up. Don't put them in that position. Yeah. Knee the ball out. I very rarely am I unbelievably shocked at something happens where there's stupidity, right? I'm not talking about somebody like not even hitting somebody late, not even Dallas Turner hitting that guy behind the block field goal yesterday that kept A&M in the game. That's dumb. What Miami did was borderline. I need to see who you texted before the game. Like I need to, like, it's almost to that point where any coach in his right mind, and it falls on Mario. Yeah. You got to get on the headset and say, what? We're running a play? No, we're not running a play. We are kneeing the ball out. And if I ever hear you say that again, then I'm going to fire you. Yeah. Like that was so agreed. I still can't believe this.
I can't believe it either.
Text messages. I
think a strong case could be made that the kid was down. But again, like you said, it's absolutely unacceptable because you ask too much of the kids. Now, I'm not saying coaches have to be perfect. No one's perfect, but you ask too much of these kids every single day at practice, in film study, week in, week out, having to go to school and having to go to practice. Like you're demanding so much from them. You can't blow the game for the players at the end like that. You have to take a knee. And then, and someone had to remind me on Twitter, this wasn't the first time. I heard he did this at Oregon too, when Stanford came back and kicked the game-winning field goal. But, hats off to Georgia Tech, and Haynes King still had to hit that big rollout for a touchdown.
He did.
And you know what? Like Georgia Tech, good for them. Good for them
Great
for
key,
taking
man.
advantage.
Yeah. Yeah. But again, you know what? If you're taking a knee and you fumble the snap, I mean, damn, that sucks.
Mhm.
All right. But I could sleep at night. I could actually sleep a little bit at night if that's what happened, right? If that's what happened, you fumbled the snap when you were taking a knee, not this. It reminded me like that blonde-haired chick off The Matrix, like in The Rain, when she's like, not like this. Now, that's what that play reminded me of. I'd be sick to my stomach. I'd be sick to my stomach.
Your paycheck should be docked. You should lose money when you pull some stuff like that.
NIL
Never
jar.
in my life. What are you doing? There's no way they didn't talk about it. If you ever been on the headset, there's no way they didn't talk about it. There's no way they didn't talk about it.
In what world? Like, if I'm Mario Cristobal, I would have ran on the field and sat on the ball, like, before that ball was snapped. I'd have run on the field and just, if I'd start taking clothes off to just get the referees to stop the game before it happened. Like, whatever. But, all right, back to the chat, Blaine.
Let's go to Jordan Wilgo, #KillGo, $5 donation. Appreciate it, JoJo. Good LSU. LSU's defense is not good. All right. Auburn may run for 300 and throw for 75 on them. You better. All right. You better, because that dude on the other side of the ball ain't playing around.
Yeah. Well, and we can go and get to this game. Like you said yesterday, Blaine, at some point, like, LSU's got 2 losses, right? They've got 2 losses. But at some point, like, Jaden Daniels really got to start getting talked about. He's for Heisman.
The best in the country.
Like, for real. Like, this offense right now is I'm trying to think in my mind, and we can go look out to the Pac-12, right? USC offensively, the LSU's got one of the best offenses in the country, and I think it's like top 2, top 3.
100%.
Like, not hey, they're a top 5 offense. Jaden Daniels right now, and the only thing that would scare me if I'm an LSU fan, and I'm talking about offensively, is he runs like a deer, like with his neck and head straight up. Like that's the only thing. He runs straight up. And he does not get down. I know they're telling him, but somebody's really got to, like, bring him in the corner, like, get his parents on speakerphone, like, because when he runs, he's legitimate 4-4. Gotta be, Blaine. The way he runs away from people on the field, but he runs straight up like a deer. Look at him, like, literally like a deer. Yesterday he was 15 of 21 for 260 yards passing, 3 touchdowns. Right, had to go out for a couple plays because he runs straight up. Rushing, he had 15 carries for 130 yards and a touchdown. And every third down where they had to have it, he would make an incredible play. Now, they've got some amazing, but the run game, and I know that's what shocked me the most. Missouri couldn't stop a nosebleed in the nurse's office in the passing game. We talked about that all week. It's why I picked LSU. And it's why I said, David, that Missouri does not want to get this game into a track meet because LSU is going to be faster than they are. And that's what happened. And Brady Cook would have had to play perfect. And I see some people talking about, oh, Brady cooked this, Brady cooked that. He made a couple bad decisions, right? He made the one bad decision early over the middle where he didn't see the underneath player. And then that last drive, you're trying to get the ball out. But he was 30 of 47. He threw for 411 yards and 2 touchdowns. All right? So, like, let's not act like the man was out there, just absolutely just throwing it behind himself. But when I look at this, I look at Jaden Daniels, and I look at this offensive line, and I look at this run game getting going, which Missouri – it's pretty decent against the run, and they ran through him like the plague. And then I look at the wide receiving group that LSU has. Malik Neighbors a truck. He goes 6 for 146 in a tud. Brian Thomas Jr., 4 catches, 66 in a tud. Mason Taylor, the tight end who's back, who we talked about this week, 4 catches for 27 yards in a tud. Like, LSU, man, defensively, I know we'll get to it, but offensively right now, I mean, good Lord. Hats off. The problem.
Hats off to Missouri for coming to play. I mean, Brady Cook and Luther Burden, the combination was working early and it was working all afternoon. And yeah, I mean, they throw for 411 yards, couple touchdowns. Look, I get it. You're playing LSU. You got to take chances. You got to take risks, and they were right there in it. Yeah, Jaden Daniels is putting this LSU team on his back, but I'm going to say the same thing to you guys that I said about Shedeur Sanders early in the season with Colorado when he started entering the Heisman conversations. He's in the Heisman conversations for all the wrong reasons. You don't need Jaden Daniels to have to put the team on his back every single game and try and win these games against Missouri late for you in a shootout every single week. Where's the LSU defense? Meanwhile, I'm watching Michigan and Georgia and some of these other teams. Their quarterbacks aren't even playing in the game with 5 minutes left to go in the third. So, yeah, Jaden Daniels is putting up all these impressive numbers, and it shouldn't surprise anyone because the kid's a freak, and he's out here rushing for 134 yards. Again, to my point on why we can't get Jalen Milroe for Alabama in the run game, because this guy's Jaden Daniels is one of the most rail-thin quarterbacks I see, and yeah, he's making all these plays. But you're in the Heisman conversations for the wrong reason. If I'm Jaden Daniels, I'm having a serious conversation with the defense. Like, hey, I want to sit out one of these fourth quarters soon. Right? Let's go take care of business and start beating these teams because we're still in this thing and we're still in the SEC conversation. So I don't know, just down the stretch, man, if they get into too many of these things, I think LSU is going to start dropping more of them.
Well, I'm sure LSU would. Go ahead, Jake.
Well, no, I was just going to say, Blaine, I mean, defensively, you talked about it all week. Look, I think LSU did have better athletes than Missouri. Like, I think Jaden Daniels was just better athletically from a speed standpoint than anybody 100%. On Missouri's defense. Missouri offensively, I thought, did an unbelievable job of putting Luther Burden in different places and motioning him and putting him in the slot and running throwback screens to him. They moved him around a lot where LSU couldn't get to him, and LSU made some plays defensively. But whether it was Missouri did what they want. I mean, Schrader, Blaine, had 114 yards on 13 carries and 3 touchdowns. At this point, and I've said it, and I want to hear what you think on it. I still think LSU has the personnel to be able to be good enough defensively to do some things, but we're still not seeing it. At some point, are they just bad? Like, are the players just bad?
Sooner or later, like you say this a lot, you just go to the doctor and, something's wrong with your ankle, and there's like, well, you're just like that now. Right? You're just like that now.
I'm dealing with that right now.
LSU's defense is just not good. They're just not good. You got a couple players.
I'm watching these cats run around. I know. The Whit Weeks kid, I think 40.
Well, he's super
young.
He's going
to be a really good player. Mason, you got Mason Smith, Wingo, Harold Perkins. I'm watching these guys run around, man.
It's looked like Tarzan, play like Jane situation. That's what it is. That's what it is. And look, Harold Perkins caught a pick.
I thought about you, Blaine. When Harold Perkins caught that pick yesterday, I thought about you because the announcers were going crazy. Look at this guy. He can drop in coverage. He's intercepting passes. I thought about Blaine. Why are you back there? Why are you not in the backfield rushing the passer every play?
One tackle for loss. Harold Perkins. Tackle for loss.
He's still the worst dropping linebacker in college football. The worst. He should rush the passer. You know how much money these guys make in the league who can just go get that guy right there. That's what you tell Harold Perkins. Nothing else. You can have a little coloring board that just says, go get the quarterback that you hold up on the
2 sacks.
Okay.
2 sacks yesterday.
That's what you need to do. He should be rushing. You should be 4 down. At this point, and I'm not trying to get all worked up and everything, I'll say this about Jaden Daniels. I don't think there's a player that can get 10 yards quicker than him.
Dude, it's a different level.
10 yards, it's disgusting. I just think
he runs like a deer, Blaine.
Yeah,
like
100%.
Watch
100%.
him.
I just think you're bad on defense. So at this point, you got to pick your poison, right? Are you lining up and just saying, you know what? You got to make somebody one-dimensional because every team you play right now are two-dimensional. All right, they're killing your ass in the pass and they're killing your ass in the run. All right. So if you're LSU's defense and you're walking into any Saturday, I'm selling out on one thing. All right. Either I'm going to bring 3 and drop 8. All right. And you're going to have to beat me with the run. I'm going to bring 13 and drop nobody. And we'll just pray and see what happens.
Yeah. Yeah. Blaine, real quick, tell everybody the story about you watching the Nebraska. This is, and you got to kind of censor it a little bit. David, Blaine told me this yesterday when he got here yesterday morning. I about had a heart attack. I was laughing so hard.
I'll try to keep it PG-13 if I can. I've recently just started talking to a girl. And it's new. And she invited me over to her place. And I just thought it was going to be her, but I get there, 2 of her friends are there. And this is during Friday night during football. I let that go.
Nebraska, Illinois.
Hey, everybody, what's going on? Don't mind me. I'm just going to go watch some football in the living room.
You have money on the game, right?
I had a stack live bet on Nebraska.
A stack.
$1,000. That's what I had.
A full stack on Nebraska. Good God.
And it was the punt I'm pretty sure it was the punt where it hit off the Illinois guy, right? And they said it was off Nebraska, gave Illinois the ball. So immediately I'm in the living room, like screaming somewhat, not super loud, all right, but the volume was there. Like that hit off him, that hit off him, that hit off him. And there's one of her friends who I'm not a fan of, said, "Hey, Blaine, will you please be quiet?"
Oh boy.
And immediately, just it's reactionary. I turned and screamed.
Oh
Screamed, "Will you shut the F up?" in the kitchen in front of everybody. Okay. I don't think she's ever been talked to like that in her life. They left 30 minutes later. And the girl came up to me and was like, she's never, ever been talked to in your life. I was like, let's go ahead and set a standard. Okay. When that shit's on TV, when that's on TV, no one talk to me. Because if you think this is bad, just wait.
Wait for the Iron Bowl.
Just
this
wait.
is Nebraska.
This ain't gonna last.
Listen, but the way he was like, she literally, like, you got to understand, like, just the friends of the new girl you're dating, you're at her apartment for the first time. Like, she's like, "Hey, Blank, can you please be quiet?" And I was like, "Would you shut up?"
Dude, like, and it wasn't even like loud. I think the neighbors heard it, like loud. And she's the worst. If you
What was the look on her face?
She's the worst. Oh, astonished. Like, she's from a rich family. Like, she's lost 20 pounds, but still fat. She never thinks she's wrong. Last time I talked to her, she ate all my appetizers at Losers. So there's a kind of a deep hatred on there already.
Wait, the last one's real? The last time you saw her, she ate all your appetizers?
Oh, yeah, at Losers. We went out. All right. It was a long time ago. We went out. Like, I met her. And then I've never seen someone do that to mozzarella sticks before. She's in there eating the marinara cup. Just chomping down on some marinara. Just a monster.
Stop it.
A monster.
You set the tone early here. Good
yeah,
for you.
look, I don't have to be here. I don't even
Can I
want to be here.
I need people to understand. This is Nebraska, Illinois. This is a Friday night game. Not only does this guy not have any dog in this fight, he hates both these teams.
Hate him.
This is wait for the Iron Bowl.
Yeah, like you think this is bad. This ain't gonna last long.
Yeah, wait till action starts. But all right, well, let's go ahead and get to the chat. I had to get that story out.
All right, Sean Kedstaver with the $5 donation.
Sean,
what's up, Shawnee? Said, "Let's go Beavers." I've been saying that my whole life. Hashtag damn right. Says USC is overrated. Washington and Oregon next week is gonna be good. Bring on UCLA.
What happened in that one, boys?
Man, I'm just gonna keep saying it. I'm just gonna keep saying when it comes to USC, this is the same team Lincoln Riley's had. This is the same team. Arizona with their backup quarterback last night. Not that they're a bad team, but I mean, y'all got to beat them by 2 in overtime at home. At home, you give up 41 to them.
200 yards.
Oregon. Like it just continues to shock me that people just buy into this early season narrative with USC, right? And Alex Grinch, it's the same old show. It's the same old show. USC's not balanced enough to win a national championship. Could Caleb Williams win the Heisman again? For sure. For sure. But this team, Oregon is right now, from what I've seen, and I think it'll show itself this weekend, even though they're going on the road, I think Oregon is the best team in the Pac-12.
I think you're right.
I think they're the most balanced team. I really believe that.
I think you're right. Everything you're saying about USC is true, but mostly when it comes to these big games, right? Like in the playoffs, or you're playing a team like Oregon. Normally they take care of business against a team like Arizona, though. Yeah, still give up 3 touchdowns. Maybe they win 56-28, something like that. That's kind of a score that we've come used to. But 43-41, you're beating Arizona in overtime. And I mean, no disrespect to Arizona, but 200 yards of rushing. Like we talked about it all off season. The back half of the USC schedule is what is so loaded. I don't know. I'm starting to look, they go to Notre Dame, which Notre Dame I know we're going to get to in a second. That's not the matchup that we were hoping it would be, the way Notre Dame's played the last few weeks. But yeah, when you start talking about like the Oregons of the world and the Washingtons of the world, even Oregon State, the way that they play football, I don't know. It's going to be a long second half of the season for USC.
All right, let's go to Texas.
Go ahead.
Let's go to Texas Ed with a $2 donation. Appreciate it, Texas. It's a good game by the Sooners. See you in Arlington. I can just feel.
That's a rematch. It's a rematch coming.
I can feel it. Let's go to Ryan Gade with the $5 donation. Opinion on the catcher interference in the Phils game. Didn't see anything on replay, but both experienced catchers' reactions said it happened. Cohen, I saw you put some out on social about this.
Yeah, I wanted to hear what Jake thought about this, to be honest. I mean, some people made some good points, which is one, the Braves catcher didn't argue it right away, right? And Snitker wasn't really like getting mad about it. And a couple people said they heard something. So while you're watching it in super slow-mo, you can't see anything, but that the umpire is not just calling something just to call it because he heard something. I watched that. I don't know how a baseball glove doesn't move at all if there's catcher interference. But Jake, what did you think? Was this a fair call?
Well, typically those things are so tight. A lot of it is something that you do have to hear. And I'm with everybody else. Typically the instant reaction will tell you. It's like a lot of times you see in football, like for example, the Caleb Downs pick yesterday. They know when they picked it off and they know when it didn't hit the ground. And you can typically tell that instant reaction from somebody if they know. And I thought that the reaction of the Braves told it all. I don't have I'm not going to sit here and say it was a BS call. Was it hard to see visually? Yes, somewhat. Did the glove not really move that much? Yeah, but the reaction of the players, and then if you can hear it, I'm not crying over spilled milk about it.
I'll say this though, the catcher interference didn't have anything to do with the Braves getting shut out. We're talking about the team, the 104 win team. 104 win team, most runs in the MLB this season. Brian Snitker changes up the lineup for some reason before the first postseason game, and then you score 0 runs against a division opponent in the Phillies. Like, to me, it's unacceptable, and y'all better come out swinging Monday. That's all I know.
That's the second dumbest coaching move I saw all weekend. The first one was Mario Cristobal not taking a knee.
Yeah, Maryland not kicking a field goal at halftime had to be third.
I know.
Yeah.
Oh, God.
Oh, yeah, that was bad.
Ended up not mattering, but still, I don't know how you do that, man.
Plus 17.5. It wouldn't mattered. Let's go to
true.
Let's go to Ethan Andrew, $5 donation. Appreciate it. He says, "Is Louisville this year's TCU? Also ugly win, but go Big Red."
Yeah. Look, here's we can go ahead and get this Notre Dame Louisville game. Make sure you hit that like button too. If you're not subscribed, go ahead and subscribe. This one was the one that surprised me the most and for a couple reasons. The fact that Notre Dame couldn't line up, and I want to give full credit to Louisville's defense, right? And I think they were sneaky on defense last year. They've punched way above their weight this year. And I know they would load the box. Like, there were so many condensed formations by Notre Dame, which means everything's tight. So there's a bunch of people in the box, but it's still man on man, right? It's still my guys versus your guys. And Notre Dame's leading rusher had 37 yards, Jeremiah Love. But on the 3rd and 1s, on the 4th and shorts, they could not line up and push Louisville around. And that shocked me. Louisville, look, Jawar Jordan ran for $143 on 21 carries and had 2 touchdowns.
Yep.
Notre Dame didn't have a rushing touchdown. They couldn't move at all on the ground, especially on those plays, what we call FU plays, where it's, I'm running it, I know I'm running it, and we're about to find out who's really about it. Now, the 3 turnovers from Sam Hartman, that hurt. The first one, I don't think it's on him. The wide receiver's got to turn around. But Notre Dame is not going to win with the methodical style that they play and the physical brand that they try and play on the ground to get to play action if they can't run the ball. Longest rush was 13 yards yesterday for Notre Dame. Louisville took it to them up front. They won that game up front, and they pushed Notre Dame around. Notre Dame's out of it. They deserve to be out of it, but hats off to Louisville and Coach Brom. I mean, goodness gracious, at this point, I mean, you're 6-0. You're starting to run the checkup. I'm looking at Louisville. I'm looking at North Carolina. I'm looking at Florida State now that Miami lost at home against Georgia Tech, and it's really starting to kind of open up a little bit out there.
Signature win for Louisville, and hats off also to defensive coordinator Coach Ron English. I played for Coach English for 2 seasons at Michigan. A lot of these guys, and you know this because both you guys coach, but a lot of these coaches have dedicated their entire lives to this game, and they bounce around and they move their families. And I got to see Coach English coach up close and personal for 2 seasons, and it's no surprise to me that the guy is putting together an awesome game plan to go beat a team like Notre Dame. So good for him. But on the Notre Dame side of things, to me, it's just unacceptable. And it's coaching. It starts with Marcus Freeman. I mean, you can't get 10 guys out. You can't get you go out against the Buckeyes with only 10 guys, can't get 11 on the field to lose the biggest game that you play this season. Then you follow that up with needing a 4th and 16 conversion from Sam Hartman to beat Duke on the road. Okay, those are good football teams, whatever. Now you get blown out by Louisville on the road. Sam Hartman, to me, still a top 10, top 12 quarterback in the country. You got Audric Estime, who's a top 10 back. You have the best left tackle, I think, in the game, a solid defense. Like, to me, this is it's turning into a disappointing season for Notre Dame. You're out of the college football playoff conversation with playing a no conference championship. That's out of the window. And to me, Marcus Freeman really has to convince this team to be able to get up for games like USC and Clemson, which are still on the schedule. Because if you don't, and this turns into an 8-4 team or a 7-5 team, a lot of people are going to ask a lot of questions. And there's a name we talked about last week, right? Where we talked about Urban Meyer.
Would Notre Dame hire him? Would they hire him, David?
I don't know about it's a 50-50 thing, right? A school has to offer a coach and a coach has to want to go to that school. This is one. We didn't know either one of them when it came to you talking about Michigan State. Oh, would Michigan State hire Urban Meyer and would he go there? I never thought that he would go to a place like Michigan State. I know for a fact, because he said as much, Notre Dame is one of the short list of jobs that Urban Meyer would take. Now, I don't think they're going to get rid of Marcus Freeman this season, but like I said, let this thing turn into a 7-5 or an 8-4 year when you have a top 10 quarterback, a top 10 running back, and the best left tackle in the game. A lot of people are going to be asking a lot of questions, especially when there's a guy like Urban Meyer who's already said this is the type of high profile job he would take.
Yeah. 5 turnovers, Blaine, from Notre Dame yesterday.
I'll say it again. I don't believe in Marcus Freeman. I don't believe it. There's something about him. There's a look in his eye that he's worried most of the time. He's scooting back a little. I go back to the Marshall game. He slowly just moves his ass further and further down the sidelines when things aren't going great. And you got to think you have one of the best offensive lines in the country, supposedly one of the best tackles in the country. You lost this game. Louisville was a better football team than you. Audrey, I don't want to hear anything else about Audrey Estime. Literally, the entire game, they were just Estime this, Estime that. Estime does this. You're 300 pounds and can't get a yard. You do nothing. What's the point?
Joe Tessitore had me dying last night the way he was describing
in the backfield.
He was like, he's a majestic combination of eloquence, emotion, and intensity.
Well, someone run a 3-yard run. Down. You're allowed to do that.
You know what else got me at the end of that one, man? I almost couldn't believe what I was hearing. When the announcers tried to make an excuse for Notre Dame by saying they've had midterms this week. Midterms? They've got midterms, so they have a lot going on? Welcome to college
Nobody
football.
else has midterms.
Yeah, no one else is taking tests. Now, look, I know at some places they don't have to take their own tests, but you're going to tell me that Notre Dame's out here losing?
Blaine, do you remember on that field goal? He like Louisville. There we go. Hannah.
Louisville.
Yeah, Louisville kicked a field goal, and he was like, "Oh, it's so well struck. The rotation is ambivalently ambiguous."
I was just 40.
Like, yeah, it was like a 37-yard field goal.
Louisville, you got that higher right in Brom. I'm telling you.
Well, yeah, for sure. But like, here's the crazy part, though, right? And this is why football's so great, because at the end of the day, you really never know. Jack Plummer, who, if you have watched, right, the last couple Louisville games, has made awful decisions, especially against NC State. I mean, he made more bad decisions than people that pick up hitchhikers. But in this game, it was Sam Hartman that was turning the ball over. It was Sam Hartman that was making the bad decisions. Jack Plummer just ho-hum, 17-24, $145, a touchdown. Hey, let's make sure we don't fall down on a handoff or not go the wrong way. It was just very Yeomans-like for Louisville. And for Notre Dame, it was just mistake after mistake after mistake after mistake. But it wasn't like the Duke game, right? Where Duke, you could tell that Notre Dame was better than Duke up front. They were just pushing them around up front, and then Duke made a couple mistakes and then caught a break, and then Notre Dame had to come back. Louisville just looked more physical than Notre Dame in the front seven on defense and Notre Dame's offensive line. A lot of people were saying the first 4 weeks when Notre Dame was rolling,
that's just because of a weak schedule. Just wait until they get to the heart of this. And I didn't buy into that. I thought different. I thought the way I was watching Notre Dame play football and bringing Sam Hartman in with this run first mentality combined with the defense and what they were doing off play action, I really bought in, man. I said Notre Dame is one of these better teams in the country. Let's see what happens Separation Saturday when they play the Buckeyes, all this and that. It seems like that late loss on the final play of the game just kind of has crushed them. I mean,
man, it's to the point now where, is Georgia just going to win it again?
Dude, I don't know. Michigan, I'm telling you, man. Michigan.
Yeah, Georgia three-peat. Just etch it in the trophy.
Closest. They're the closest. But I'm telling you, that Kentucky game,
said it all week.
Georgia.
This is one of the ones I got right. Everybody was sitting here talking about, here comes Kentucky. Georgia's gotten off to these slow starts, and their defense really isn't good against the run. And Kentucky, they really run it well. And I said all week, Kirby's gonna be running around that bullhorn, screaming about we need to get off to a fast start and stop the run. And it's a box run game for Kentucky, right? And I didn't think Devin Leary played that bad, to be honest with you. I mean, he was 10 of 26, 130, and 2 touchdowns. But Ray Davis, 15 carries, 60 yards. They had 55 yards rushing. 55 yards rushing. That happens with Kentucky. Devin Leary is not good enough against a team like Georgia to go out there and help you beat them. Now, there were some bad penalties that Kentucky committed that you can't on the road, but Georgia got the ball and was walking down the field, just walking down the field. They jumped them 14-0 in the first quarter. Then you drop a 20-piece with Cajun fries and nuggies in the second. It's 34-7. I mean, Georgia scored double-digit points every quarter but the last one because they were just trying to get their ass back in the locker room. So, like, when I look at this Georgia team, Carson Beck, 28-35, that offensive line giving him all day, 390 yards, 4 touchdowns, did have the pick. Leading rusher didn't go over 54 yards, but he really didn't have to because you had a guy run for 54, you had a guy run for 50, you got another guy run for 30. I mean, from a receiving standpoint, it's just, Brock Bowers, good God almighty, planting Krypton's, 132 yards on 7 catches, Rosemary Jack Saint, that got 100. But this was big. I thought this was huge for Georgia. Ra Thomas, 5 catches, 63 yards and a touchdown. They didn't even need Ladd. Ladd had 1 catch for 11. He's just trying to get healthy, and you don't have to worry about him. But Georgia, exactly like I thought it was going to happen, just beat him to sleep. And Georgia, I'm telling you, they're becoming who they really are. Yeah. I know the schedule isn't that difficult, but Georgia's becoming who they really are, and Kirby can develop them as the season goes.
All you can do is play who's on the schedule and get better each week, which is exactly what they're doing. I'll tell you, the moment that I really recognized how this game was headed, it's almost impossible to get receivers wide open against Georgia's defense. Almost impossible. And yet on that first or second drive, Kentucky was able to do that out of a 3-by-1 formation. They had this corner route by the number 3. Devin Leary just overthrew him wide open. I'm like, you finally get a receiver wide open. Devin Leary overthrows him. I said, it's going to be a long day, boys.
Literally, me and Jake watched this game. Right do that. I was like, there's Devin.
Yeah,
I know him.
Now I remember.
What happened, man? What happened this last 2 years with that kid?
I blame him. Did he start dating somebody?
Probably a Kardashian.
It had to be. I don't know what's up with it because, again, I mean, you had all the hype at NC State. And look, you got hurt his pec, whatever. And he wasn't, I didn't think he was terrible in this game. He made a couple throws that are pretty good, but early in the game when they had to have it, he wasn't able to connect on some of those throws.
All right, let's go to Chad Smith with a $2 donation. Good morning, fellas.
Morning, Chad.
Tomorrow should be fun.
Yeah, it is. Blaine, you got to wear that shirt, don't you?
What was it?
Chad is my dad.
No, I never agree to that.
Or something like Chad. Chad will tell us in the chat. He'll tell us in the chat.
All right, let's get to God. This stuff moves so quick. He said, one guy said, I bet USC minus 21 instead of Georgia minus 15. Someone please come save me.
Look, I don't think that's sometimes. And if you've ever gambled on sports, right? Like, for example, you can make all the right decisions. I had Missouri in one of my show bets plus 5.5 yesterday. Throw the pick 6 with like 30 seconds to go to not cover after feeling comfortable about to cover the whole time. But then on the other side of it, A&M and Alabama, I hit the under at 47.5. That had no business hitting. Right? Because you had the kick, you had the field goal block, return for a touchdown, that the block in the back. How that didn't get over 47 with the way the game went was shocking. was shocking. It ended up 26-20.
I need Jimbo to go for
yesterday.
that. I need Jimbo
Hey.
to not kick the field goal at the end of the game and go for that. And let's get a stop and hit this.
Hey,
under.
boys, I got to tell you, though, once again, locks yesterday were 5-1. Leans were 4-2. Those locks,
Nice.
man, I'm telling
Notre
you. Like
Dame. Notre
yeah,
Dame.
I know.
I'll
One
never
guy
trust
bet
you
all of our
again.
locks in a parlay, and everyone hit, but the Notre Dame one.
God, I
Which-
wish Colleen was in here so I could talk crap about him.
Yeah, Colleen probably not going to be in here after the way Notre Dame played last night.
All right, let's go to Texas A. What's up, Texas? If all top teams win out and win their championships, which team gets left out of the college football playoff? And why is it Florida State?
No, Florida State wins out. They're in.
I don't know.
Yeah, Florida State wins out. They're in.
Not
I
that
would
one.
say, I mean, you can't say Texas or Oklahoma. They're going to play again. Like
Yeah.
you would assume they're going to play again. I mean, winning out, whoever wins out of Ohio State or Michigan.
But I was thinking
Like,
about
you're-
this morning in the shower, boys. The one you're talking about right there. If Oklahoma and Texas rematch again, right, and Texas wins that game, so you're
Got
sitting
Texas
there
gotta
with each
go.
of them has one loss, but Texas won in the conference championship, and now you have a one-loss Oklahoma team, but who lost in the conference championship, and then you have the scenario, let's say like last year, where Michigan and OSU play undefeated last game of the season, and the winner goes to the Big Ten championship, and the loser sitting there with one loss at home, just like the way OSU got into the playoff last year. Now you're going to have a one-loss Oklahoma team and a one-loss either Michigan or OSU team, but one of them at least got to go to their conference championship because there are no divisions. That's going to make things really interesting.
Yeah,
Let's go-
man, especially what happens in the Pac-12. That's going to
Yeah.
be super interesting.
Yep.
Let's go to
All
the
right, Vaughn.
time machine. It says, what happens if UNC, FSU, and Louisville all finish undefeated? What does it mean for the ACC championship game and the playoffs?
Won't
Does
happen.
Florida State not play North Carolina?
Look at your schedule.
I don't think Louisville plays North Carolina or Florida State here. I got Louisville's schedule.
All right, I got Louisville's right here. So this is what Louisville has left. They got Pitt coming up, Duke, Virginia Tech.
They don't play Florida State
They
or
don't play Florida State
Where does Louisville play Duke?
at Duke. At home, excuse me, at home.
let me see. Let me see where. Let me find Florida State right here.
Louisville can legitimately go undefeated.
Wow. Okay, so Florida State doesn't play North Carolina either. So if those three go undefeated, I've got to look at the tiebreakers. The odds of that happening are pretty
That's
slim.
Does Miami
Um,
play Louisville? Yeah, they do.
Yeah,
Okay, so
they
Miami
both
plays
play
all.
Miami.
So Miami
Yeah.
plays North Carolina, Clemson, Florida State, and Louisville.
Yeah, well, that's
Miami
why
plays
this also
all of
Georgia
them.
Tech hurts so bad too.
I know it really does.
All right, bud.
All right, let's go to Luke Dellen Virgin. If I said that wrong, I'm sorry, buddy. Get a better last name. Can we talk about how SEC defenses seem to have no capacity or understanding to bracket Brock Bowers? Wow, I'll say that 3 times fast. Same people talking Heisman for him for being wide open with no defenders within 20 yards. I think he's just that good.
Well, again, and it's like I said last week, and all that hoopla about the Auburn game. Like, you're not gonna stop Brock Bowers. There's a common misconception, and like even when I use the term obvious, they're talking about adjustments to try and slow it down. You're not stopping him, right? What's the old adage? You're not going to stop him. You can only hope to contain him. There are things that you can do to try and limit him, but this is why I keep saying, as much as you can focus on Brock Bowers, Georgia does have other weapons as well. So if you send all of your army to stop Brock Bowers, well, now all of a sudden, when Ladd McConkey's healthy, he's going to destroy you. But you've got Ra Thomas, and you've got Dominic Lovett, and you've got Rosemy Jack-Saint. That's why the more weapons that start opening up for Georgia, the more dangerous it's going to make Brock Bowers, because at some point, if you're getting murdered by everybody else outside of Brock Bowers and you say we have to adjust to stop them, well, now Brock Bowers is going to make plays. But here's why I think Brock Bowers is open so much. It's one thing if you're on the outside and you're a receiver and you're playing against a corner, right? Right. Typically the matchups that you have corner wide receiver, unless it's just a humongous alien type wide receiver like Julio Jones or one of these guys or Marvin Harrison Jr., there's ways that you can say athletically, look, you'll make some plays, I'll make some plays. Against Brock Bowers, there's not a great matchup because he's typically on the inside, right? Whether he's attached to the line of scrimmage or he's detached as number 2 or they start him as number 1 and they motion him off the ball, you're either matched up against A, a dime package guy or a slot corner guy that's smaller that he can big boy and box out or get off any type of reroute and make that play and get open. Or you put a linebacker on him that can hold up with him physically, but he can run right by, that he's more athletic than. There's a lot more matchups out there for that wide receiver that's really athletic than that guy on the inside. That's why I always say finding a nickel or slot corner, some people that can call it, that can play against a slot receiver in man coverage and be heavy against the run and be able to rush the passer and get to him is very hard to find.
Yeah.
Just like the inverse of that on offense, trying to find a guy like Brock Bowers that's a good, really good inline blocker, right? That's physical in the run, but can also run routes in all thirds of the field, and he has great hands. There's not as many of those guys running around. So
like a Derwin James type. Derwin James is like the perfect example of
that's
someone
what I'm saying.
who
There's just not a lot of guys
Branch
running around
from
that can do
Bama
that.
last year.
Yes, Brian Branch. Like guys
Brian
like that,
Branch.
you
That's the
just
reason he
don't-
went so high.
Yeah, you just don't see those type guys. There's a lot more guys on the outside that run 4-4 and can make, crazy plays than there are that matchup. That's why in the red zone and on third down, it's so deadly. And that's when they always go to him because it's the best matchup. So you bracket him, you put 2 on him. So you can't double everybody. It helps another matchup and another combination, because if I know who you're doubling, I know who you're not doubling. And if I know who you're doubling, I know where 2 defenders are going to go. So I know where 2 defenders are not going to be. It's the ultimate, maybe the best part about Brock Bowers, and people may think I'm crazy, is that he may be the best decoy in college football too. Like and that's just a real thing.
And while he was untouched and wide open against Auburn on the go-ahead touchdown, the 3 or 4 catches before that, he was one-handing
what are you
in
supposed
bracket
to
coverage.
do?
So it's like you can, do all you can do, but if he's still going to high point the ball and catch things with one hand,
yeah.
I mean, you can limit him somewhat, but like there is no stopping. That's why I told everybody last week. I was like, nobody ever said you're stopping Brock Bowers. Like, it was amazing in the first half
You just can't let
that
him
he
beat
didn't
you.
tear up Auburn. Yeah.
You just can't
Like,
let him
that's
I'm gonna
just
this
the
donation.
truth.
Let's get some NFL games. All right, let's go to Jeremy Brandt, the $5 donation. Blaine's more upset over lost mozzarella sticks than he is about losing his emo look. GVR. Friend of mine had a 10-team parlay, and the only thing he needed was Miami money line.
wow.
Really?
Wow.
No way. No way.
That's all
See,
he
that's
needed
what
in
I'm
a
saying.
10-legger?
No, like I'm writing a strongly worded letter. Like
No.
a strongly worded letter.
Like, I'd
be
confession
physically
for
ill.
8 hours today at church.
I'd be physically ill.
No, yeah, I thought I'd have to talk to my pastor.
No.
Like I'd have to talk to my pastor to be like, listen, I just need, like, I'm obviously not doing something right.
Yeah. Are you want to get
Like-
some NFL games?
Yeah, do you have any more donos to
No,
read?
that's donos right now.
Okay. All right. So, by the way, everybody, the Jaguars are up 11-0 over the Bills.
I'm so sick of these early games.
Man, can we stop doing
I'm
this?
so sick.
Yeah,
Why
I
are
don't
we
like
doing
them.
this?
I'd love to watch the Jags and Bills play today.
Yeah.
I'd love to
I
watch
don't-
it.
London sucks.
Well, no, I don't mind them playing the game in Europe. I want football. I want to live in a world one day where I wake up and on every continent they have like an NFL division. Like,
No,
how
it's
sick is
ours.
that?
It's ours.
I like us
Exhibition.
having
Go
better
play
stuff.
I
exhibitions.
just love football that much. Like, I want all of it. I want more of it.
I remember
I want more of
Manchester. It was Man U. Maybe it was Real Madrid and Barcelona. Whoever came to play a match in the big house one time, and it was awesome. Like, if you trying to get people into soccer, I didn't go, not my thing, but hey, that's
Yeah.
awesome. Play in the big house. It was an exhibition. It wasn't for the La Liga title or whatever they play for, right? I need.
Well,
the
then
games
when
over
would you
here.
have it? Just preseason? You just play the preseason game
Look,
over
we
there?
get together in May. We pay all the guys extra money. Go over there.
They're
you
not going
know.
to do that.
How about we
Go over
just
there,
play
exhibition.
football in America? How about that? All right.
They have their version of football over there.
Yeah.
No, you give them an NFL team in London, and not, I'm talking about NFL Europe. I'm talking about legit. You give me an NFL team in London, football will be more popular than soccer within 10 years. I
My
continue to
fantasy
say it.
team's so screwed.
I'll continue to say it. All right. So let's go Giants at the Dolphins. All right, Dolphins minus 12.5. Obviously, over under is 47.5. Can the Giants score enough, or will the Dolphins just score all this on their own? Because the
Okay, well,
Giants
you know
can't
what?
quit.
The way
Saquon's not
things are
playing.
going, the
He's
way
not
things
playing?
go, just take the Giants money
Because
line.
it's unlikely
The way the
that he's playing
NFL
'cause he's
goes.
super soft. All right. Super soft.
Blaine, what do you like?
Saquon.
Do you
Oh,
like
my
the total
ankle.
here?
Ew, it hurt my ankle. Dude, go play, dude. I mean, look, how do I not take the Dolphins minus 12.5 and the over?
12.5. Wow.
It's so much, David. But did you see ass-eyes Daniel Jones out there play for 4 quarters?
Yeah,
It's
and
the
I also
offensive line, dude. The offensive line's awful.
Daniel Jones, the whole game was
Awful.
like this.
I don't blame him. I'd have been too.
He
yeah.
didn't play any better.
And I also saw the Bears do what they just did to the Redskins, and I saw the
No,
Cowboys
the Giants will win by
lose.
35.
Yeah,
Like that's
but yeah.
who knows.
So we like the
NFL's
over.
It's so screwed. All right, Panthers at the Lions. This is my survivor pool game I picked. All right, I
Ooh,
still got the
nice.
Chiefs, still got the Eagles. I used the Niners last week against the Cardinals.
Okay.
But again, Bryce Young starting. I don't think the Panthers offensively, I'm a knock on wood, can be able to score enough points, even with the good defense they have. The Gumball Smuggler, they didn't play great last week. They're at home, Flint, Michigan Mega Bowl. Let's go, guys. Give me the Lions.
Well, let me throw a couple things at you right here. Amon St. Brown,
Doubtful.
not playing.
Oh, he's out
That's all
officially
right.
now.
I mean, they've got other guys. J-Mo's playing.
Is
Josh
Reynolds playing?
Josh Reynolds, questionable.
Well, hell, I'm questionable.
So I don't know. I had Jared Goff is usually
What do you mean you don't know? You're talking about the point spread, or you don't like taking the Lions today?
the point spread.
Okay, good.
Yeah,
9,
the point
isn't
spread.
it?
I think the Lions win because I think the Panthers just are that bad on offense.
Over-under's 44.
It's worrisome to me. It's worrisome to me right now. The secondary for the Panthers are extremely good. Extremely good. So we'll see what the Gumball or Smuggler performs as, but he doesn't have his main weapons out there today.
Titans at the Colts. Colts plus 2.5. Over-under's 43.5. Why do I really like the Colts in this game?
Do you like a money line?
Yeah, I'll roll
like
with
the
it. I
Colts
refuse to
in this
pick
game.
Ryan Tannehill to win anything.
On the road, the Titans is just a different team. Like if this is at
Mhm.
home, I mean, I'd be put the pedal down and scream America. But
Yeah.
I mean, it's on the road. I mean, why would I not buy this up to plus 3.5 on a show bet?
Yeah,
Yeah.
I agree. I like that.
All right, Ravens at the Steelers. Ravens 4.5 point
4.5.
favorites. Over under is 38.
Division matchup, man. I'm telling you, I took the Texans money line last week against the Steelers. I know they're at home today, but I'll take the Ravens.
I think that's crazy, especially the way Mark Andrews played last week. Blaine, what you thinking?
I mean, you got to think the Ravens are a better football team, especially with the way they played.
4.5 points better.
It's just what Steelers team's going to
Lot
show
at
up.
home.
See, that's why I
Steelers
hate
gonna
betting the
show up.
Steelers. I don't know.
Is it Kenny? I'm fake sliding Pickett, or is it Kenny? I have two little hands Pickett. All right, I don't know which one's going to show up. If Kenny Too Saucy shows up and that defense shows up, Steelers are a good football team. But right now, I mean, Todd Monken, he's up there with a Zen in, with a pin, just going over it. Mark Andrew, the quad's getting there. Zay
No
Jones-
emotion. No
Zay
emotion.
Jones got called a munchkin coming into this week by Pat Pete. So that's probably a problem, Pat. You're like,
Oh, wait. He
57.
called him a munchkin?
He said that little munchkin.
Zay
ain't getting
Flowers?
open. He
You
said that
always
little-
call him Zay Jones.
whatever. He said that little munchkin ain't getting open today. All right.
He called him a
That
munchkin?
could have been cool 10 years
How about a little
ago.
anytime touchdown today?
Yeah. But if you
God,
take
like,
a
why-
cane to
why
the
would you call
facility,
him
like,
munchkin,
you can't
though?
say that.
Yeah. What do you think the over under 38? Ew.
I like the over.
I don't think that's crazy.
I like the over because I think, like, look, Steelers, you need to start playing a game calling let's throw it to George Pickens as much as we can.
Well, you
All
got
right.
him. You got Fryermuth, right? You've
Yeah,
got
you got Pat, but
Najee.
still, like, I don't think George is getting used enough, man. Like, I really don't think George can be a legitimate number one receiver for your football team. Start leaning on that man.
Oh, man. How about a game I can't wait not to bet? Texans at the Falcons. Falcons are 2-point favorites. Over under is 41.5.
I don't understand why you wouldn't take the Texans money line.
Mhm.
Because the Falcons at home, man, this just smells like Young Wei Koo.
Young Wei Koo, Georgia
my
Southern's
old girl-
finest.
My old girl's tripping, but my Young Yo Koo.
Yeah, I mean, that's fine. But Desmond Ritter's absolutely dog water.
I know he is, but you think he can maybe put it together a couple times against
Look.
the Texans? I don't know about you, but I almost like the over in this game.
What's it at?
41.5.
I like the over.
I mean, the Texans
Desmond
have been
Ridder. I
hotter
just don't
than
like
than
betting overs with Desmond Ritter.
Gal Gadot, sunbathing next to an active volcano. I mean, just at some point, like,
I like
can the
Texans
Falcons?
money line this game. CJ Stroud showing it to me. All right,
But
he's
here's the thing
being
with
the
CJ
one guy
Stroud.
from
At what
Ohio
point
State
does
who comes
it
out as a
screw up?
quarterback and shows
Like,
it
at
to
what
you.
point does like the run end of him just cooking up like 300? He's a
Or maybe
rookie at some
he's
point.
good, you know,
No, I'm
Maybe-
not. He is
maybe he's
good.
just a
I'm
good
not saying
football
he's not
player.
good.
Nico Collins. What? I mean, you
Mhm.
got Damian Pierce. Okay. D'Amico's got these guys playing on defense. They're believing.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
I mean, if you look at Desmond Ritter, like no one believes in him.
That's disrespectful.
You got Bijan at running back. You got Drake, welcome to London at receiver. Okay. Like you got a couple of A&M guys up front actually when A&M was good. Like you got guys. Your secondary is one of the best in the league, but you drafted Desmond Ritter. If I'm the Falcons, I am tanking. I am tanking for Caleb Williams. You tank for
no way.
Caleb
Arthur
Williams.
Smith trying to
you
keep
are-
his job. They're not tanking.
Think about this: Caleb Williams, Bijan Robinson, Kyle Pitts, Drake London.
Yeah, that is.
You'll average 30 a game.
What noise was that?
Gee
That's me
whiz.
throwing up.
I'm about,
so
yeah,
sick
I'm about to
because
get
they're
sick.
so good.
All right. Well, I don't know. How about this one? Saints at the Patriots. Patriots 1.5 point favorite, over under 39. Ugh.
Patriots need to figure out a way to win this one, man.
Like,
It's
dude,
the-
I mean, I like
it's
the
getting
Patriots
ugly.
money line here, right?
I think so. I mean, they're not a good football team, but at some point it's like, hey, they got to win a game at home, right? Like in Foxborough, you're playing the Saints. I don't know.
There's
This-
only one
this
man who
ugly.
can save the Patriots,
Tommy B.
and it's Bailey Zappa.
Oh, you
Put
think
the kid
start
from Western
Zappe?
Kentucky in there, and you let him sling it around. All right.
Mm,
I don't know.
that may
There's
be
just
what
something that's
happens.
not right with Mac. All right. I mean, Mac's
Yeah.
always been the guy to me. He's the, do you know who my dad is type situation. Okay?
Well, yeah, it's like let's argue over whose wave runner's better.
Yeah.
Man, I never thought that about Mac Jones. I spent a little bit of time
Really?
around. I like the guy, I like the kid, but all of this, like,
He said he thinks the same about Blaine, though. So
Yeah. Well, he's the type of guy who's like probably like really cool, but then he walks off in a polo shirt and short khakis. All right. And he's like, well, my dad didn't buy the new yacht this year, so I don't know what I'm going to do with myself.
really.
That's what he
So
looks
he
like.
gives you like those type of vibes.
He gives the
Just like
my
super-
dad's a lawyer type of vibe. 100%. 100%. If
I just think
anything,
he's
I bet
not
in this
playing
game,
great
of course, I have
football
to
right
start
now.
Michael Thomas this week because no one wants to play on my fantasy team. I'm betting the under. This game will be 10-7.
Yeah, probably right.
I don't think that's crazy. I don't think that's crazy. All right, Eagles, Rams.
It's a fun one.
Yeah, 4-point underdog at home. Over under is
He's
50.5.
Back again.
Man, this is a fun one. I mean, we've seen the Eagles play close games on the road so far, but figure out a way to win. Remember when they went to the Patriots, they go to the Redskins. I really like this Rams team, but I don't know. I mean,
+4.
I like them with the points, +4.
I don't think that's
I do
crazy,
too.
Blaine.
Well, you know who's back, boys?
Is Cooper
Tell
Kupp
him.
back?
The man who walks on water. Did y'all see him do that?
Oh yeah,
I
the
did.
cones.
Cone drill.
The cone drill, yeah.
It's just
The kid's
stupid.
just skating. The kid's
Yeah.
just
Like
skating.
at
You
some
got
point, it's
him.
just becomes stupid.
You got Nuka back. Like I'm playing Matt Stafford this week in my fantasy team.
Yeah,
Mm.
smart.
Because I mean, just the weapons that you have. Higbee's nice, but I do think just like the Eagles find a way to win. I don't think they cover. I don't think the Eagles cover. I kind of like your bet on that, David. Rams +4.5, and I'd almost take the over too at 50.5. I don't think I don't think the Rams are going to be able to run the ball as well as they want to. I think the Eagles are going to have success running somewhat until Aaron Donald gets pissed off. But I
I
the
watched
Rams to
Sam
cover
Howell.
and-
Sam Howell and then put up 31 against the Eagles.
Yeah,
Like the Eagles have some problems on defense. They need to get figured
their
out.
secondary's got some problems. 100%.
Yes.
Yeah. All right, Bengals, Cardinals. Cardinals 3-point favorite at home. The Bengals figure it out this week or not?
This is a sneaky important game for the NFL, and you may think I'm crazy saying that, but the Cardinals have been punching above their weight. I thought they'd be the worst team in the NFL this year. They've come out with a lot of pride this season, and so far the Bengals have just been an absolute disaster. They're wasting all of this offensive talent that they have. They're 1-3 right now, but we've seen them start slow before. They played in the Super Bowl 2 seasons ago, right? They started slow last year, ended up figuring it out. This is that week where it's like if you can't treat the Arizona Cardinals as that get right week, as that get right game and get me over, then I think the rails are going to fall off for the Bengals here. And so let's see how this one shapes out. And you're getting them on the road too. Like Joe Burrow needs to come out. I don't know how healthy he is. I don't know how banged up he is, but he needs to come out and have a good showing. They need to put up a lot of points and win the football game.
Blaine?
I mean, something's just off about this Bengals team. I mean, it's just like when your girlfriend laughs at another dude's joke too hard. Something's off. Something just doesn't feel right.
That sounds like super specific.
But like, how do I not bet the Bengals? How do I not? What is going on?
I'll tell you why.
Like when your girl laughs at another dude's joke too hard.
Yeah, bro, it's not even that funny. Like, it's not. It's not. Look, I laugh too if it was funny, but it's not even that funny. You're doing too much. So, like, what's going on? Something feels off.
And then, do you ask that?
You wouldn't
both
hear
of them
this.
there?
Look, you don't get this type of commentary, and I go on a lot.
Well, no,
of
then you
shows,
immediately
man.
have to go laugh at another girl's joke way too hard.
Wait, like obnoxiously, like how?
Oh yeah, then you ask
does
about
it
her
sound?
family and that
How
she
does
lost
it-
some weight. She looks
So
great.
Blaine, so how would you laugh if she said, "Oh," and then he said, "No, but that's a nice ski mask."
Babe, did you hear that?
Oh my gosh!
just
All
me
right,
talking.
Chiefs. Chiefs at the Vikings. Vikings plus 3.5. This game's at 328, which is about 30 minutes for Kirk Cousins' dinner. Over under is 53. God, I don't think Patrick Mahomes is going to play bad twice in a row. I like buying this down to 2.5. Chiefs.
Vikings, another team. I don't know what's going on, man.
God, y'all hear what Justin Jefferson did, right?
What'd he do?
What?
He turned out a new max deal until they get Kirk out at quarterback.
Really?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Chiefs
I like the
minus
over in
2.5.
this. I know
like
it's
that.
at 53.5, but this game will be 37-40.
Really? That
Yeah.
high? Interesting.
Yeah,
All right,
it always
all
is.
right. As we wind down here, Jets at the Broncos. Ooh, gross. Broncos 2.5-point favorite. Over under is 43. Don't know, not touching.
Riding with
I
the
don't
fear,
know.
baby. Riding with the fear. Remember, keep talking crap. It's going to be watching Cops with your mom. Give me Zach Wilson on the board.
Zach Wilson, the mom smuggler.
Yes, sir.
All right. Game of the day.
Game of the day.
Cowboys at the Niners. Niners 3.5-point favorite because, of course, they are. I'm buying that down to 2.5. I go and tell you that's going to be my bet. Over under is 45. Like the over here? Why do I like the over here?
I don't think you're crazy. I mean, both those defenses are so great that a lot of people may be thinking the under there, but I also maybe Cowboys with the points, the hook over the field goal there. I don't think is a bad play. I think they're gonna show up with a lot of pride and play. But this 49ers team is so good. What's the money line on this? Do you guys have
It's
the
a
odds?
minus 192,
What's the money line for the Cowboys?
plus 160.
Yeah, that's not enough value for me to take the Cowboys on that. The 49ers
Who
are
gets
just so
the
good.
who? That's what matters.
Yeah.
Yep.
Is Micah Parsons healthy?
Yeah, I think he's healthy walking.
'Cause he was-
I haven't heard anything about
Wasn't he
him.
limping off the field last time?
Does
Yeah, I
Parsons
think he
get
should
to
be good.
Brock or does Bosa get to Prescott? Look, I'm rolling with. I would definitely buy this game down to 2.5 49ers. Until Dak proves it to me against the 49ers, I'm not betting them.
Yeah,
Mhm.
I'm with that.
100%.
And it's on the road. All right, let's get to the chat real quick before we wind up.
All right, Michael Golish, $5 donation. Football's in the Olympics. Who is the coaching staff and which episode of BOB are you showing?
Oh God, like which the coaching staff, the head coach, it's got to be give me Saban is the head coach.
Kirby DC.
Give me are we talking about just college? Like, or can we use NFL?
I guess we all be all encompassing. That's fine.
Here's what I want. Give me Nick Saban, head coach. No, Andy Reid, head coach. Andy Reid, head coach. Nick Saban, DC, with Kirby Smart. It's Nick Saban and Kirby Smart co-DCs. Which would be absolutely incredible. Brent Venables can be a assistant as well. And then, I mean, OC wise, you got to let Andy, right? You got to let Andy cook with Shanahan in there. He could technically be your offensive coordinator. Oh God, we could just go through the list of them. It'd be a murder. Can you imagine? They're like, all right, first round. And like all our good players played, like our best player, we're sending our best over. It's like, it matters. We're sending our best. Like, Mahomes, the quarterback. I mean, just, what's up. The Kelsey brothers out there. Can you imagine like first round America plays? Oh, South Korea. It'd be a murder. It'd be like that South Park episode with Dan Snyder. Like they'd just be murdering them. Like, could you actually do that, or would somebody legitimately die?
Die.
Can you imagine like Fred Warner and like guys running around hitting these little South Koreans?
Look, they'll do it. South Koreans are a very forgiving race. All right, they'll do it. All right, like why not? Look, if you want football to be played in London, okay, sooner or later you have to get some guys in pads. All right,
For sure.
and then we'll go have some fun. We'll treat it like the Olympics in the NBA right now. Look, we'll just send college kids over there.
No, that's not what I want. No,
still
that's
gonna
not what
get
I want.
killed
No,
early.
I want
Early,
Micah
Jake. We have to do
Parsons
it early.
and Khalil Mack and
We
all
have
these
to do it
guys and
early or no one's gonna
Bosa.
play us.
That they need to understand. No. They need to remember there's been a lot of trash talk going on about Europe and the United States. They just need to remember, all right, they just really who's daddy, okay? One of us blew a 13 colony lead and the other ones didn't. So, like, if we need to go over there and have Chase Young get a few pass rush reps to go hit some dude from, like, Birmingham, England a couple times just to remind them, I'm totally down with that.
Well, yeah, you knew you were screwed when a 6'2" guy with wooden teeth was in a wood with a sword, just waiting. Of course, they didn't think they didn't think he was going to cross.
Tyreek Hill? Are you
cross
kidding?
the
There's not a
Delaware.
There's not a person walking around in England, France, or Germany right now that has a prayer against Tyreek Hill. Not one.
No,
there's
not
not
even that.
one of them.
I'm not worried about the speed. We might not throw it. He might not
Yeah,
throw it.
exactly.
I don't want to throw
Yeah.
it.
It's a line of scrimmage thing here.
What else in the chat?
Let's go to Scott Beret says, don't bet on the Chiefs. Mahomes is on my fantasy football team, so he's done. And now Taylor Swift is involved. Trust the signs.
Yeah, but I'm going to believe in the Vikings at 3:30.
Look, I mean, has Kirk has his orange slices by then or what?
No, look, has Kirk had his, has he had his walk and you've given him that boost that he drinks every morning. You've been to TJ Maxx. Like, at
I
what
will say this
point?
about Kirk Cousins, which I thought was cool. He ended up buying like a late Twins ticket with all his family and just went and sat in some regular seat at the Twins baseball game.
Dude, Kirk Cousins is a real one. The Kirk Cousins disrespect, we joke around on here, but it's not Kirk's fault they suck.
No, I hate him. I hate him. All right. That's it, boys. I'm pretty sure that's all the donations. Wait. Okay, that is all the donations. Great job today, chat.
Yep, great job, guys. Make sure you hit that like button, hit that subscribe button. We really appreciate you guys. Got a great show tomorrow. Going to be talking about where we were right, where we were wrong, taking a quick look back at the weekend. Obviously, we're going to start looking ahead to what's going to be another crazy weekend of college football, and obviously reviewing and recapping all the stuff in the NFL and Major League Baseball. NHL's right around the corner. College basketball's right around the corner. Feels great outside. I'm about to go get this walk in before I watch these games on Red Zone. God, I love America. Parting thoughts? Anything, you guys?
Y'all have a great Sunday.
right,
My fantasy team sucks.
All right. Well, we appreciate you guys, and we will catch y'all live each weekday morning, including tomorrow, 7:30 a.m. to 9 a.m. Eastern. That's 6:30 a.m. to 8 a.m. Central. Come join us. We have live calls, live chat. If you can't join us live, it stays on the Daily Wire. Go to the Daily Wire Plus. Stays on YouTube, Apple Podcasts, Spotify. We really appreciate it, guys. We are out of here.